It echoed across the restaurant like glass shattering against tile, high-pitched and too familiar. My wife, Claire, had her head tilted back, eyes sparkling in the dim glow of the wine bar, her hand brushing the sleeve of the man sitting across from her. A man I knew all too well, her ex-Daniel. My stomach clenched, the kind of tight twist you feel when instinct recognizes something your mind is too slow to accept. I wasn't supposed to be there. I had left work late, planned on picking up dinner to surprise her. Instead, I walked into that scene, my wife leaning in closer, her lips parting in a smile she hadn't given me in months. I froze, my feet rooted to the floor, my hand tightening around the paper bag, holding takeout. It was just laughter, just conversation, I told myself. But the sound of it lodged itself inside me like a thorn. When she finally noticed me, her smile faltered for a fraction of a second before she recovered, waving casually as if I had walked in on nothing more than a coffee catch-up. "Ryan, hey, look who I ran into," she said brightly. Daniel turned, smirking with a politeness so sharp it cut. "Long time, man." I forced a nod, my throat tight. I wanted to believe her tone, believe that this was nothing. But the air between them was too charged, their movements too comfortable. And the way she looked at him, the kind of look that carried history, weight, and something dangerously close to longing. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay beside her in the dark, listening to the shallow rhythm of her breathing, my mind racing. Every small detail from the past few months replayed itself in brutal clarity. The late nights at work, the phone she kept face down on the table, the sudden extra care with her appearance. My heart wanted to trust her, but my gut whispered that I had just glimpsed the truth. The next morning, over coffee, I tried to test the waters. "So, funny running into Daniel yesterday," I said lightly, keeping my eyes on the mug in my hands. She shrugged, her tone casual, almost dismissive. "Yeah, total coincidence. He just moved back to town. It was nice catching up, that's all." I nodded, forcing a smile. But deep inside, I wasn't convinced. For the next week, I became hyper-aware. Her laughter on the phone, behind closed doors. Her sudden urge to go for runs when she hadn't cared about exercise in years. And the way she avoided my eyes when I asked simple questions. One night, after she claimed she was working late, I drove by her office. The building was dark. My pulse pounded in my ears. I parked across the street, hands trembling as I gripped the steering wheel. Minutes later, I saw her car pull into a nearby lot. And then I saw him, Daniel, sliding into the passenger seat. I wanted to storm over, rip the door open, demand answers. But something inside me told me to wait, to watch, to let the truth expose itself fully, no matter how much it burned. When she came home that night, I was already in bed, pretending to be asleep. She kissed my cheek lightly, the kind of automatic gesture you give someone when your heart is elsewhere. Days bled into weeks, each one tightening the noose of suspicion around my chest. I started noticing how she lit up at random text messages, how she guarded her phone like it was an extension of her soul. The love we once had, the warmth, the intimacy, had been replaced by silence and shadows. Finally, I reached my breaking point. One Saturday, while she was in the shower, I picked up her phone. My hands shook so violently I nearly dropped it. The passcode was the same. She hadn't even bothered to change it. Messages, dozens of them. Her words to him were casual at first, then intimate, then unmistakably clear. "I miss the way you make me feel. Last night was perfect. He suspects nothing." The floor seemed to vanish beneath me. My vision blurred, but I forced myself to keep reading. Each line another blade slicing deeper. My wife, the woman I built my life with, was living a second life right under my roof. When she stepped out of the bathroom, humming softly as she dried her hair, I looked at her like a stranger. Every memory we shared, every promise she made, felt like a cruel joke. I couldn't even bring myself to confront her then. Not yet, because anger alone wasn't enough. I needed control. For weeks, I played along. I smiled. I kissed her cheek. I acted like the husband she thought was too blind to see. Meanwhile, I went to our attorney. I reviewed the prenup she had once laughed off as pointless paperwork. I learned every clause, every protection. I began preparing for the end she didn't see coming. And then came the night everything broke open. We were at a friend's birthday party, music thrumming, glasses clinking. I tried to play my role, tried to keep the mask in place. But halfway through the night, she slipped outside, phone in hand. I followed, quiet as a shadow. There she was, leaning against the wall, whispering into her phone with a softness I hadn't heard directed at me in years. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Yes, I'll make up an excuse. I love you too. The word stabbed through me. My chest felt hollow. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Then she turned and froze, her face drained of color when she saw me standing there. Ryan, she started, but I raised a hand. Don't, I said quietly, my voice shaken with fury I'd fought to contain for too long. Not another word. The ride home was silent. She didn't try to explain, didn't try to lie. She just stared out the window, her jaw tight. When we pulled into the driveway, I turned off the engine and finally faced her. You've made your choice, I said flatly, and now I'm making mine. The next morning, I set everything in motion. I filed the papers. I froze the joint accounts. And I listed the house she adored, the one she poured her soul into decorating, the one she called her sanctuary. When she found out, she erupted. You can't do this. This is my home, too. No, I said evenly, the weight of betrayal hardening my voice. It was our home, and you destroyed that the second you decided I wasn't enough. Her anger melted into tears, her face crumpling as she reached for me. Please, Ryan, I made a mistake. I was confused. It didn't mean... Stop. My voice cracked, but I held firm. You walked out with him, smiling, while I was standing right there. You chose him every time you lied to me, and now you can live with that choice. The weeks that followed were a blur of paperwork, signatures, and silence. I moved into a small apartment downtown, stripped of the life I thought was permanent. She tried to call, tried to text, but I ignored every message. Not out of spite, but out of survival. Because I knew if I let her voice back in, I might crumble. The house sold faster than either of us expected. I stood in the empty living room on the last day, the walls echoing with memories. Our first Christmas tree, the nights we danced barefoot in the kitchen, the mornings we planned our future. All gone, reduced to shadows on bare walls. And yet, as I closed the door for the final time, I felt something I hadn't in months. Freedom. It didn't erase the pain. It didn't make the betrayal any less brutal. But it gave me something stronger than anger or grief. It gave me the chance to rebuild on my terms, without lies, without half-truths. Claire chose her path, and I chose mine. When people ask how it ended, I don't tell them about the texts or the phone calls or the night I overheard her whispering words meant for someone else. I just tell them the truth that matters most. She walked out smiling with her ex. So I walked away with my dignity, and I never looked back.